A small boy stood outside a crowded supermarket, holding only 3 crumpled dollar bills in his tiny hand. People rushed past him without noticing, but his eyes looked desperate. Not for toys, not for candy, for food. Because at home, his mother was sick. Very sick. And they hadn't eaten since yesterday. The little boy quietly entered the store, looking around nervously. He wore old shoes with holes in them and an oversized jacket that clearly belonged to someone else. He walked slowly through the aisles, checking prices again and again. Bread, too expensive. Milk, too expensive. Soup, still too expensive. His hands trembled as he counted the money one more time. $3.20. That was all he had. Finally, he picked up a small loaf of bread and the cheapest instant soup he could find. Then he whispered softly, "Mom can eat this tonight." At the register, the cashier scanned the items. $4.80, she said. The little boy froze. His face turned pale. He looked down at the coins in his hand and quietly said, I don't have enough." People in line sighed impatiently. One man rolled his eyes. A woman looked away. The little boy slowly began putting the soup back. But suddenly, an older man stepped forward. "I'll pay for it." The boy looked up in shock. The man smiled gently and added more food onto the counter. Milk, eggs, medicine, fruit, even warm chicken soup. The boy's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to do that," he whispered. But the old man knelt beside him and asked softly, "Is your mother very sick?" The boy nodded. "She's been coughing a lot, and she can't get out of bed." The store became quiet. Even the impatient customers stopped talking. The old man paid for everything. Then he handed the bags to the boy and said, "Take me to your mother." The boy hesitated, but slowly nodded. Outside, snow began falling lightly as they walked together through the cold streets. Finally, they arrived at a tiny apartment building. Inside, the room was freezing. The walls were cracked, and on an old bed near the window lay the boy's mother, weak and pale. When she saw the food, tears instantly filled her eyes. "No. How did you buy all this?" she asked weakly. Before the boy could answer, the old man stepped inside. And the moment the mother saw him, she gasped. Her hands began shaking. "You." The old man's eyes also filled with tears. It turned out, many years ago, when he had been homeless and starving, this woman had once given him food. Everyone else ignored him back then, but she didn't, even though she herself was poor. "I never forgot your kindness," the old man said quietly. The mother began crying silently. The little boy looked confused. The old man smiled at him and said, "Your mother saved me once. And today, I finally found her again." That night, for the first time in weeks, the small apartment smelled like warm soup and fresh bread. But the story didn't end there. The old man was actually the owner of a successful restaurant chain. The next morning, he returned with a doctor. A few days later, he helped pay for the mother's treatment. And months later, when she recovered, he gave her a job at one of his restaurants. As for the little boy, he never forgot that night. Years later, he would tell people, kindness always comes back. Sometimes, when you least expect it. And somewhere in the city, an old man still smiled every time he remembered the poor woman who once shared her last piece of bread with a stranger